Okay guys, now for this question, it says consecutive numbers. Create a function that determines whether elements in an array can be rearranged to form a consecutive list of numbers where each number appears exactly once. So we are basically rearranging them, right? Okay, nice. Let me just copy this example and delete all of these and these. And I need to first create an integer array, right? So I can put my example in that. Let's just create one. Okay. Then I need to call my word here, and what I need to get false or true from my method, right? So I need to also change this method to bool. Then bool, I can leave that out, it doesn't matter. I need to just change to int array, and I need to call that in my console read line method. So word array, and we have the console read line here. Now, okay. So basically, first of all, what are we going to do? We are going to rearrange those arrays. So basically, we are going to sort these values in my array. However, we're going to do that. It's so easy. I'm just gonna write array sort, and it's automatically gonna sort my array. Sorting our array. So basically, we have rearranged our array here. So what I need to do, I need to check for the values in there are increasing by one, right? So we don't miss any comparison between those items. So how am I going to do that? I'm just going to create a for loop, of course. Then going to write I1. Why I'm writing I equals to 1 or assigning 1 to I? Because I want to start comparing with 1 here. So basically, let me just write in this correct order. So basically, I want to do what? Compare these values, right? So I'm gonna start comparing at this position. So basically, first position instead of 0th. Why is that? Because if I start at 0th position, start comparing at 0th position, I need to do what? I need to compare it with +1. So basically, the first position. So basically, I'm gonna compare these two. If I start with 0, then I need to compare this to, then I need to compare this 5 with something else that I don't have. So basically, what I need to do, I need to start at the first position, then compare it with the one less position that this has. So basically, if this is first position, I need to compare it with 0. If this is 2, compare it with 1. If this is 3, compare it with 2. If this is 4, and I'm just gonna compare it with 3, guys. So that's the whole reason. Then I'm gonna do what? Of course, I'm just gonna write arrays length here. I smaller than arrays length. Then I'm gonna increase my I value here. Then I need to create an argument, right? I'm just gonna create what? Like I said before, I'm going to compare my array E with array E minus 1. So basically, first position with the 0th position, like this. Then I'm gonna check for what? If that subtraction equals to 1 or not. Basically, if it's not equal to 1. So basically, I'm looking for if my first position and 0th position subtraction is equal to 1. If it's not, I'm returning the false value. If it is, it's okay. We sorted out correctly and the array is correct, then we can return the true value. So I'm just gonna do that. Let's write array I minus array I minus 1 isn't equal to 1. So basically, it's a false value. We are going to return a false value here because this is not correct according to our rules. It's going to return false. Then if it's not, I'm just going to return true here. Then I'm just going to execute my code. And as you can see, we are getting true. Why is that? Because we have the correct order here. But if I try to add like 7 here, I need to get the false value. And as you can see, we are getting the false value, guys. And actually, let me check for this as well. Let's get these. write and start, and as you can see we are getting false. And when I copy this and paste this, we have 9 twice. Then when I start my code again, we are getting false again, guys. So we are done with this question, guys. Let's move on to our next question. Okay, for this question, it's a long one it seems. It says perfect or amicable. Given a positive number x, if all the positive divisor of x, excluding x, adds up to x, then x is said to be a perfect number. For example, the set of positive divisors of 6, excluding 6 itself, so basically 1, 2, and 3, the sum of this set is 6. Therefore, 6 is a perfect number. Given a positive number x, if all the positive divisors of x adds up to a second number y, and all the positive divisors of y adds up to x, then x and y are said to be a pair of amicable numbers. So the question asks us to create a function that takes a number and returns perfect if the number is perfect, amicable if the number is part of an amicable pair, or neither if it's not. Okay, it's a long one, but I believe we can manage to do that. Let's just copy one of these examples and start writing. And again, I'm just going to delete all of this. Then write an integer variable. Why is that? I need to put my example in that. So I'm just going to write num equals to this example. Then I need to call my method in a writeLine function here. Of course, I need to change this to string because we are returning a string, and I'm giving this method an integer. So I'm just going to write int num and call my, let's just change, or not change, okay, let's just call my method here num, and we are good. Okay, we are done with again our main method. So let's continue with this static word method. First, what I need to do, I need to check for my num send perfect, or what was it, amicable, or neither of those. I need to check for these three, right? So I can easily write 3 string for these values. Let me just write those. String perfect for the perfect, string amicable for amicable, and string neither for the neither of those. Okay, now what are we going to do now? We are going to first write some variables, write some integer variables for calculating the perfect numbers. So I need to sum up those numbers. Then again, at the same thing, I need to sum up the amicable numbers. So basically, I'm just going to write int perfect numbers equals to 0, then int amicable numbers equals to 0. I'm going to use this to determine whether my num is a perfect or an amicable. Then I need to first write a for loop. For what? For our perfect part here. Now I'm gonna check for what? If my I in my for loop here, if divisible by my num, let's actually just write, let's just say 1. I can explain with writing num and increase my I. Then write an if argument here. So basically what I was saying, if my num is divisible by I and the remainder of that division is 0, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add that number to my perfect numbers here. So basically I'm gonna add my I. Then at the end of this loop, I'm gonna check for what if this addition of these i's to perfect numbers, so basically my perfect numbers, equals to my num here. I'm just gonna check that. If my perfect numbers equals to my num, and if it is, it's going to return my perfect variable here, return perfect. So it's going to return perfect to us. So we are done with what? We are done with our perfect part. This was our perfect part. Now we need to move on to our amicable part, right? So I'm gonna create another for loop for that, then another if arguments like this. So for that, I'm just gonna write for int I equals to 1 again, then I lesser than my perfect numbers. Why is that? Because if we call this for an x, we can call this a y pair. So if this is an x pair, we can call this as a y pair, and we can move on with our formula like this. We can check it with this. So let me just copy and paste this again and increase I. Then again, I'm gonna check for the divisible by I. If my perfect numbers, if divisible by I, I'm gonna do what? I'm gonna increase my amicable by I. So basically, I'm gonna add my I to amicable numbers here. Then again, at the end of this loop, like this, we're gonna check. Actually, let me copy this. We're gonna check if this is an amicable or not. How are we going to do that? I'm just gonna copy this and paste this here, and paste my amicable string in that return line of code. So now, if none of these occurs, what are we returning? We are returning neither. So basically, I'm just gonna write return neither at the end of our code, guys. So actually, let me just change this to amicable parts and amicable parts. Okay, now our code should be done right now. Let's try to execute our code. When I try to execute our code, as you can see, we are getting amicable. Let's check if it's correct. It's correct. Let's write 5010. We should be getting neither. And as you can see, we are getting neither. And if I were to write 6 here, we should be getting a perfect result. And as you can see, we are getting the perfect result, guys. Okay, now let's move on to our next question.